Hey guys, Mrs. Matheson here. You're finishing up now your notes for 8.3. You should have just finished up doing the pizza activity with a partner and working on that, and now you're going to talk about area of a sector of a circle. So we've talked about length of a arc in a circle, and the area of a sector is going to be very similar. This is a similar picture to what we had seen, but when we had been looking at this before, we'd been talking just about the length here. Now we're going to talk about all of that area. So we saw a similar formula when we did our length of a arc. Instead of area, we talked about circumference. We had c over d pi. Now we're using area in the area formula for a circle of pi r squared. Let's get just that a by itself. So we're going to times both sides by pi r squared. So area is x, which is our angle, over 360 times pi r squared. So we're going to use this formula to help us in the next 5 problems. Find the area of the shaded sector. All right, so let's just go ahead and plug into our formula. We have our angle, 148 over 360 times pi r, our radius, squared. Remember, just the radius is squared, so just the 6 is squared. Typing that into your calculator, and let's just round to 1 decimal place. Pause it if you don't have it. We get an area of 46.5. Don't forget we label meters squared because we're talking about an area. Okay, 7 and 8, very similar. 7 has the same type of setup we did in 6. Area of our angle, 53 over 360, which is our total degrees, times pi times our radius squared. So just the 4 is getting squared, so that's going to turn into the 16. I want you to type it into your calculator. Again, let's round to 1 decimal place. We get 7.4 feet squared. Taking a look at number 8 here. Number 8, again, we're talking about the shaded area. So the shaded sector is what we want. But we don't have the angle measure for the shaded sector. How are we going to find that angle measure for the shaded portion when we only know the angle of the unshaded? Well, we're going to take 360 and we're going to subtract that 65 from it. Because 360 is our whole circle, subtract out what we know. So that's going to get us 295. Now, if you're not listening to the video, you're going to have no idea where 295 came from. Pi times our radius squared. Type it then into our calculator. Again, let's just round to 1 decimal place. Our 10th. So rounding to the nearest 10th. That's going to get us an area of 311.5 inches squared. All right, so those 3 were pretty basic. Now we're going to talk about shaded area here, and we're looking at 2 totally separate pieces. We need to find the area for them. But we know that our angles, 2 angles are congruent. So that's good to help us. If those 2 angles are congruent, we know that our top angle is also 130. So just like in our last problem, we had to subtract out what we knew to find our unknown. Area is going to be 100. Now, do I need to divide that 100 into 2 because we're talking about 2 sections? Well, no, it just asks for the shaded area. It doesn't ask for each individual shaded area. So we can leave it as 100. So our area is 100 over 360 times pi with a radius of 3 squared. 3 squared gives us our 9. We're going to again round to 1 decimal place. Rounding to 1 decimal place ends up with 7.9. Again, label of meters squared. Okay, next problem. Ooh, this one looks way different. Okay, shaded area. Now here, our shaded area, we aren't dealing with the sector anymore. We're dealing with 2 circles. We're dealing with the big circle. We're dealing with the small circle. So I need to think in terms of area. probably not area of a sector because I don't have any sectors this time. Why don't we start off by finding the area of that small circle and then find the area of the big circle and see what we can do with that. Now the small circle, we need to know our distance of our radius. I see these two congruent markings here and here. So I know that those two halves there are equal. And those two halves are half of my 9. So this is 4.5. So half of 4.5 is going to be what each of those are. So this one's going to be 2.25. Okay, so I know my radius of my small circle, and I can, just based off my radius, I can find my area of my small circle. Okay, so small circle, pi times my radius squared. Typing that in, let's just round to 1 decimal place for this. And we're going to get 15.9 centimeters squared. We know that, but I'm not going to write it because I know I'm not done yet. So now I'm dealing with my big circle. Okay, what's the radius of my big circle? It's not the 2.25. Oh, hello, it's my 4.5 because that's half of my diameter. So we're going to do pi times 4.5 squared. Remember, just the 4.5 is squared. Let's type that in and round it to 1 decimal place. 63.6. All right, so I have my circle, small circle, I have my big circle area. I need to do something to find the area of just the shaded part. I'm going to leave that up to you guys. Find the area of the shaded part, type that in on your quiz on Schoology, and we will go ahead and finish this up later. See you guys then.